Hey guys, so in today's video we have a budget update. So we're going to be looking at our results for the month of October, and then we're also going to be setting our budget for the month of November. Now October was slightly different because we ended up going on holiday for one of the weeks, but it was also quite similar because this month we would have had to budget for 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks. Depending on how we get paid depends on like how we budget for the month. So I'm curious to see how the budget went for the month of October. In terms of our holiday, that was all done separately, and I do have a video in terms of how much we ended up spending on our holiday if you are interested, so I'll link it up here for you and in the description below. But without further ado, let's have a look and see what happened in October first. So here is our monthly budget for October, and if you are interested in using this template, you can of course do that. So it comes with a net worth statement, a sinking funds calculator, and then you have the choice between a monthly budget template or a weekly budget template depending on how you get paid. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. I'll make sure it's linked in the description below for you. But in terms of how we started the month, we had overspent the previous month, so our budget was minus £4. At least it was £4. It wasn't too bad, but that's how we started the budget. And obviously our income had come in, and we also contributed to our savings and investments, so about £800 into savings, £80 each into our investments. And then we also paid off all of our essential bills. Those are pretty much fixed costs, so they don't really tend to change. And as well as that, we paid out our sinking funds. So most of our sinking funds went towards things like car maintenance, paying for the dentist, rugby, clothes and presents, and we also had some money put towards our holiday for the month, and that was another £300. Now I do go into much more detail in my other budget update video, so if you are interested and you want to check that out, make sure you do. I will link it up here for you and in the description below. But in terms of our savings, essential bills and sinking funds, that was all pretty much paid out. So let's now track our spending. Now the first thing was petrol. So originally we did have a budget for £120. That's something that we have been budgeting for the past couple of months. It seems to have worked. I think it seems to have been okay. So in terms of our petrol, although we did have an original budget of £120, we ended up spending £124 instead. So just slightly over the 120, not too bad. Moving on to groceries. So we had an original budget of £170 for the month, and that meant that per week on average we wanted to spend around £42.50 per week on groceries. And in terms of groceries, we actually ended up spending less, which I was very surprised at, but I think that means that hopefully grocery prices have maybe leveled off. Maybe they're just not increasing anymore, which is great. So instead of £170, we ended up spending £153 instead, which means on average per week we were spending just over £38, which really wasn't that bad at all. I was very surprised at that, and obviously I'm just happy that we didn't go over on groceries. So yeah, that was pretty much our groceries budget all sorted. And if you're liking this video so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel. Plus I'm sure you know it's free. Next up, let's move over to toiletries. So originally we did have a budget of £35. With toiletries we definitely went over this month, so instead of £35 we ended up spending £44 instead. So yeah, a few pounds over when it came to toiletries. When it came to our own spending, we allocate both £100 to each other, and that means that we can spend it on anything else that we like. And for me, I feel like you guys already know, I spend the whole £100, to be honest. It happens every month. There's no surprise there. I think Yinka actually spent his full £100 this month as well. I'm not really sure, but I think he did. So in terms of our spending, yeah, that was all done. Then we go over to personal care. So personal care, we had an original budget of £52, but we didn't spend as much on personal care this month. So we only ended up spending £20 on personal care. And so you will see, because we didn't spend that much, we ended up spending on other areas in the budget. But at least with personal care, we were under budget by about £30. Now let's move over to date night. So we originally had a budget of £80 for date night, and we definitely went over this month when it came to date night, and being aware that this also includes things like takeaways as well. So with date night, we ended up spending £104 instead of the £80. So we went over by about £24. And then when it comes to our gym membership, that's a direct debit, so that was £21.99. Disney Plus is also a direct debit, so that was £7.99, and that was all paid out. Next up is miscellaneous. So we did have an original budget of £15, but we ended up spending slightly more. We ended up spending £17 instead. And then when it came to my husband's rugby club, that was £60 that we also paid out for his games. And we also had some change left over, so we added that to our pennies jar. And if you're not really sure what our pennies jar is, it's just if we ever have any loose change, depending on how we spend, we basically put it into a pot, and then we can use that either for like mini emergencies or for whatever else. So in terms of our total spending, it was £754.92, but that also meant that we were under budget this month by about £10. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I genuinely thought we were at least going to break even. So it's nice to know that we have another £10 to carry on to next month's budget. This is the first time we've actually been under budget for a couple of months. During the summer, it was a little bit of a mess, especially because prices were increasing and we just had to kind of adapt how we were doing our budget. But it feels like maybe we're back on track now, which is good. As long as, you know, things don't start to increase again, I think we'll be okay over the next few months. So let's now head over and see how we are budgeting for the month of November. So this is the month of November, and as I mentioned, we did underspend by about £10 last month, so I have put that in the budget. And then in terms of our total income, we have of course included our salaries in there, and then we also have another £100 coming from our sinking funds pot. If you're not really sure what sinking funds are, they're basically just expenses that you like to save up for over time. And so we have a pot that we had from the beginning of the year, which we've been drawing down on. So that is pretty much our total income. Now let's move over to savings and investments. So this month we are allocating £1,200 into our savings, and that's hopefully going to go towards a house deposit. And then we are also investing slightly as well, although obviously majority of our money is going towards savings at this time, but we are investing £75 each. So the total in terms of our savings and investments now comes to £1,350. Now let's move over to our essential bills, and there's actually one change that I do want to talk to you guys about. So we are still paying £1,100 towards our rent. Water is still £47.75. The change is with our electricity and gas bills. So because in the UK we have been given money from the government essentially to help with our energy costs, that means that our direct debit has decreased. So it is now £39.84 that we're going to be paying, I think, for the next 6 months. However, what you'll see is that usually we would be paying around £106 a month. What we've actually done is decided to take the difference between how much we used to pay and how much we're paying now and put that money into a separate pot dedicated for electricity and gas, so that even if our bills do increase, at least we're going to have some money to be able to pay for that. After that, we have £129 going towards council tax, £31 going towards broadband, £158 going towards iCloud, and then we also have our SIM only contracts. So for Yinka it is £12 a month, and then for myself it is £10 a month. Again, we do use something called Voxy, so if you are UK based and you're looking for a SIM contract which has endless social media data, definitely check out Voxy. I will leave a link in the description below for you. And of course, after that, we have our tithes, charity and giving. So as people of faith, giving is something that is pretty much essential to us. So it's something we will always do no matter our income. But that is our essential bills for November. All right, so let's move over to our sinking fund. So first of all, we have £50 going towards our car maintenance. So that's to do with anything down to road coverage, insurance, anything like that. Then we've got another £10 going towards our dentist appointments. So that's something that we have to do twice a year, so we have money allocated for that. And then we also have another £10 going towards my husband's rugby club, so that's for his registration. Another £10 going towards clothes, so that's in case we want to buy anything throughout the year, we've got some money for that. Another £10 going towards presents, so if there are any birthday presents coming up when it comes to family, we have money for that. Another £10 going towards skincare, and then as I mentioned, £67 will be going towards our electricity and gas. So we have just created a separate pot, and every month we're just going to put £67 towards that, just to help us over the next few months. So in terms of our sinking funds this month, it is about £167. Now let's move over to spending. So first of all, we have transport. Now I used to actually call this petrol before, but I realized that sometimes if I have to travel to work, for example, we will essentially use that as part of our petrol and transport money. So I've decided to call it transport. So this month we have budgeted £125 for that, and that's mainly because we spent around 124 last month, so hopefully 125 should be enough. We have kept our groceries budget the same, so £170 for the next month. Hopefully that is all okay. 35 we have allocated to toiletries. I want to see if 35 is still okay for us or if we need to start increasing it, so we're going to keep it to 35 for now and see what happens. £100 allocated towards our individual spending. Some of that money for myself, my own personal spending, I am going to allocate to a couple of sinking funds. So I want to put some money into Christmas because obviously that's coming up, and also maybe presents as well. So that's, I think, what I'm going to be using some of my money for this month. Then we also have another £52 going towards personal care. We also have another £70 going towards date night. It was originally going to be £60, but since we have £10 left over from last month, I decided to add that on to our date night budget. My gym membership is £21.99. With my husband's gym membership, we actually pay yearly for that, so his is pretty much all okay till next year. £7.99 going towards Disney Plus. Miscellaneous, we have allocated £15. My husband's rugby matches, we have allocated £45 for that, and then the rest of the money we have allocated into our pennies jar. So we are hoping to spend around £746.52, which at this moment is probably around the same when it comes to dollars. So in terms of our budget, I think even though things have been getting more expensive and our spending has increased compared to last year, as you can see, we are still able to save and invest a good proportion of our income. So I'm very, very blessed for that. If you feel like maybe you do need support where you are trying to budget and you haven't been able to save and invest as much as you would like, or maybe you haven't been able to stick to your budget consistently, then this is definitely something I can help you with. So make sure you do check out my one-on-one coaching. You can just book a call to find out more about the program. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But hopefully this month, as long as things don't drastically increase, I think we should be okay. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, how did your budget go for the month of October? I do post every Tuesday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week.